Hey, thanks for checking out The Solid Verbal. Now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel for college football content all off season long. Let's go with a defense that performed an offense that didn't hold up their end of the bargain, and the face that would be on the half-team trophy this year would be Kirk Ferentz's in the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Let's talk about Iowa. Talk about Iowa. We're framing everything out in terms of points per drive.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa on offense was 121st in points per drive, first on defense, which is crazy. I can't remember a disparity that large since we've been doing this.
It's wild.
Just incredible to me. Still, they went 7-5 in the regular season. Still, they went to a bowl game. They beat Kentucky in that awful game, 21-0.
Mm-hmm.
So on some level, yeah, it works, but on another level, yeah, it's concerning. Iowa, here's where this program's at in terms of offense, okay? Iowa won the Big Ten West in 2021. And coming out of that, essentially doubled down on everything.
Mm-hmm.
All the same strategies, the same staff, everything on offense going into 2022. It's not like this was a killer offense in 2021, but it worked. It worked well enough to get them to a spot. Notably, it got way worse this past season.
Mm-hmm.
It was not good. As we just mentioned, 121st, it was not good in 2022. That is why they are featured in this episode. So let me start here.
Yeah.
What is Iowa's identity on offense?
It's ball control, right? It's the big offensive lineman. It's Tristan Wirfs, right? It's guys like that. Big offensive linemen opening up holes, running off tackle, hitting tight ends. You know, they had the 2 tight ends drafted a couple years ago. And, here, you ready? TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant, folks.
Boom!
Those names will be out of my brain in 3.5 months, but they still reside in my cerebral
They're still
cortex.
there. They're still, and you're not wrong with that answer.
Right.
Notably, though, they did ask Brian Ferentz about this back in 2021, almost the same question.
Right.
What is the identity of this offense? Quote, we need to be a group that can support the team and win games however we need to win those games. You got it?
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
That's not really an answer. That's sort of a political statement there.
Yeah.
The next best thing, though, outside of asking you and Brian Ferentz, is what did opposing teams think of the Iowa identity on offense?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer there, again, is our favorite David Pollack quote. It starts up front. It starts up front, particularly the interior portion of that offensive line. They get the push. At the point of attack, everything flows from there. Everything works. That means holes for the running game, right? That means the play action works. They love bootlegs. That means the bootleg can work. I saw a comment from a coach a couple years ago who said it actually can be very hard to game plan against a good version of the Iowa offense because everything sort of looks the same.
Yeah.
There aren't any tendencies that you can hang your hat on. Everything looks the same, which makes it difficult to game plan against.
Sure.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that's what I think at its core makes this offense actually kind of unique. And when it's working, sort of effective. It hasn't worked in a great long while, but the offense is truly a combination of being very complex and also very predictable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know what's coming, but because you can't see it, because there isn't a whole lot to look at on film that it gives you that disparity to kind of base your game plan on, it could be really, really effective in the right circumstances.
Agree.
Alex Padilla, now notably leaving to go elsewhere, Padilla, however you want to call him, he said it takes like a year to get the offense. It doesn't seem that complex. He said it takes a year.
Right.
Takes a good year. Which
well,
I
don't think that's a statement that is, deserving of ridicule.
No. I'm just saying there's outside of that headline, which is Iowa's offense stinks, there's a lot that gets lost. There's a lot of nuance there.
Sure.
That I think we need to call out.
Please.
And so I shouldn't have to say this. The other aspect to that quote, about being predictable is you can be Georgia and be predictable and still win the national championship, right? Being predictable, being complex isn't a bad thing, but both things have to work together. Mm-hmm. This is all a very, very long way of saying, Dan, what you probably already know. Iowa was really bad on offense.
Yep.
And a lot of that stems from an offensive line that was very bad. Bill Connolly tracks something called blown block percentage Iowa was 119th in the nation.
Yeah.
They were also 129th in pressure rate allowed, despite not facing that many blitzes. They were just bad. They were bad up front. Again, back to the pressure thing. It also means that this line just was not holding its own. Shout out Caleb Johnson, by the way, the running back. 5.5 yards per carry in spite of the line, not because of it.
Right.
Just nobody feared that line. And as a result, everything collapsed around it. So you got the bad line. Predictably, Iowa turns to screen passes in the passing game. They were good at those. And I'll credit Brian Ferentz for one thing. People were clamoring, bring back the tight end a little bit more in the passing offense. You noted they had some really good ones. They got away from that for a little while. Brian Ferentz brought that back.
Sure.
He brought that back.
Was the entire offense. A poor man's Michael Mayer.
Targets.
Yeah.
84 targets. You need the sure-handed safety valve when you've constantly got guys breathing down the neck of your quarterback. And that's what Sam Laporta was.
Right.
The problem was they just couldn't go downfield at all. You can throw the screen pass. You can throw to Sam Laporta 84 times. But Spencer Petrus did not have time. And when he did, he didn't have receivers who were consistently getting open or, for that matter, staying healthy. They were really banged up in the receiving core. It's so easy to bang on Spencer Petrus. We did our fair share of it here. I blame the coaching staff. This is a coach problem.
Yeah.
They need more playmakers. Everybody needs more playmakers. This is a coach problem. It feels like we have reached this point of diminishing returns with Kirk Ferentz. Yeah. And I said Kirk, not Brian. Not Brian.
Sure.
Brian's part of it, but this is Kirk. They are running the same offense, at least the same rushing offense that they did back in 1999. Now it just happens that they're worse at recruiting. They're worse at developing line talent. They're worse at developing receivers and quarterbacks. And all of the recruiting stuff got harder around them.
Yeah.
With NIL in the portal. So it is not easier. If anything, it's way harder. And they have now shown over the course of many seasons that they are just not up to snuff when it comes to developing that talent. I think this season will be a pivotal season. I don't know what they're going to do with Brian Ferentz in the offseason. Iowa fans, of course, want him to be gone. Many Iowa fans want him to be gone, not all. We will, I hope, get some clarity on that. Perhaps there will be a decision. Perhaps there will be hires and they'll do something to restructure the coaching staff. I don't know. But I don't think any of that's going to solve this problem. I think we're going to be right back where we started this time next year. It will be pivotal because they're bringing in Cade McNamara. And Cade McNamara is a Big Ten winning, a playoff caliber quarterback, right?
Yep.
And so I have not detected in the Iowa community this notion that, bringing in Cade McNamara is going to fix this thing. No, I don't think people are saying that, to be fair. But I do think that if you bring Cade McNamara in, if you put him in this offense, if, again, the offense stinks, suddenly there it is clear as day. It is just hard to ignore the blinking red light that is, okay, we've swapped out quarterbacks. Okay, we brought in new talent. We've done a bunch of other steps outside of swapping out coaches. This has to be a coaching thing.
Right.
I don't know how you fix this other than bringing in new people to run the offense. Maybe you bring in a dual threat quarterback, somebody who can run a little bit more. They haven't really tried that at all. That would be a nice touch. But short of that and changing just the personnel, it is not clear to me outside of a full-fledged coaching change what is going to do this. Like, Brian Ferentz is very, very popular to dunk on. It's January 25th. We're recording this again. By the time people listen to this, there is a chance he won't be the offensive coordinator. I read places that perhaps there would be a role for him in the NFL. I don't know doing what, but perhaps there'd be a role for him somewhere in the league. But unless Kirk Ferentz is content to give somebody else complete, full autonomy over the offense, over the recruiting efforts, personnel, we're going to be right back here next year. Set your watch.
Okay, couple things. I think I might be a little bit more optimistic than you are with regard to Iowa's offensive possibilities.
Okay.
The couple things are that you're mostly 100% right. This is an Iowa offense that's built to just sit on teams, right?
Yeah.
And then this year, the offensive line had tiny little butts. It becomes a little harder to sit on people when you don't have the mass and talent to do so. Spencer Petrus was not that good. He missed open dudes. And you can say, well, that guy was a walk-on. That guy was a walk-on. He ran the wrong. All that's fair. All that's reasonable. I think they had one scholarship receiver available in that South Dakota State game.
Very banged up at receiver.
Extremely thin. Obviously, your guy Chuck Sizzle made his way to Purdue. That was a loss that I don't think Iowa fans anticipated being that big, having the season that he did for Purdue. But when your offensive identity is tied to one specific thing, like it is having NFL caliber offensive linemen, and you just don't, and they just don't perform, and then your quarterback's under fire, and he is already dealing with accuracy issues with a big arm, and then you're not able to develop receivers downfield consistently, and you do go to the tight end a little bit more, and that's all good. The stunning thing about Iowa's offense not being fine, not being the 73rd best in America, is their defense consistently puts them in such an incredible position to succeed with the sheer number of turnovers forced, right? That opposing defenses should be gassed.
It's demoralizing.
From their own offense turning the ball over and Iowa getting the ball in plus position or an advantageous position, whatever, offensively, that you are essentially trying to push around a tired defense if you're the Iowa offense because of the Iowa defense. Iowa finished the season, you mentioned first in points per drive allowed, so even the bar is so low for Iowa's offense. You score 20 a game. How many times would they have won this year? What would their record have been with scoring merely 20 points a game? They lose to Michigan because they gave up 27. They would have beaten Illinois. They still would have lost to Ohio State, and they would have lost to Nebraska, and they would have beaten Iowa State. So you're adding 3 wins to their season. So they go from being a horrifically disappointing, what would they finish, 7-5 during the regular season, 8-5 with the bowl win, to 11-2? What? And well, I guess they're making the Big Ten championship game.
10-2,
11-3, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's 20 points. It's 20 points. And so the optimism is Cade McNamara should be more accurate than Spencer Petrus. I don't think Eric All is a game changer just because they had Sam Laporte and they've had good tight ends. So I don't think that changes the calculus for Iowa's offense. They're going to be healthier at receiver. They didn't hit the portal especially hard. They lost a key corner who they were expecting to do good things this year and a key linebacker, but they weren't shredded on defense. They lost some guys on offense, which is to be expected. If you just have a more accurate quarterback and you're a little bit better along the offensive line with age, and you're a little bit healthier at receiver, even losing Sam Laporta, I think you can get to 20 a game.
I hope you get to 20. Like, I'm not rooting against Iowa. I appreciate the funnies we're able to make. I'm not rooting against Iowa. I am hesitant to just sort of pencil in, though, Cade McNamara as this huge upgrade. He's definitely better than Spencer Petrus, okay?
Yeah.
For sure. But I come back to what Alex Padilla himself said. The offense takes a while to grasp.
Sure.
So unless they're going to try and simplify that, I could see a world in which Cade McNamara is also scrambling to try, like not literally scrambling, but trying to figure this thing out, trying to figure it out on the fly because it is complex, it is nuanced. If they don't make a serious change, it might not matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, and look, the defense is going through changes, so they might not be able to be counted on to be the best offense on the Iowa roster. Yeah. But even so, this is an Iowa team so entrenched in its identity that I always anticipate guys being able to step up on this defense. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic, but I think you're absolutely right. It's a vision thing. It's this worked for us in 2016. It worked for us in 2018. It worked for us in 2020. Like, the problem is you have to be looking forward. And it doesn't seem like Iowa ever is on offense over the course of a year. You'll see a game where like, oh, they're running some motion stuff and they're going outside zone a little bit more and it's working. But over the course of a year, and look, we saw tight ends and receivers run open and get missed. We saw that. That's not on Brian Ferentz se.
It's not. I think the thing that I came away from this deeper dive, having more of an appreciation for, it isn't all on Brian Ferentz. Brian Ferentz is the poster boy for it. I understand. If I were a fan of Iowa, I would want him gone too.
I think it is on Brian. Okay,
it's not all on Brian Ferentz.
Not all.
Right? Spencer Petrus still is missing open players. The line is bad. He didn't have time to go down the field. These long developing deep routes never had a chance because the pressure rates were so high.
Right.
It is on the coaching staff for sure that they have not developed that talent to a greater degree. That Spencer Petrus has been in this quote unquote complex system for however many years, and he's not really gotten better.
Right.
That's on the coaching staff. But it's not all unfair. I think a lot of this stems back to, as you said, just the inability to change a vision thing. So much of what they're doing is 20, 30 years old that it's not a great surprise that we'd be here at this moment in 2023.